Everyone. All right, got it. My name is Alyssa Aronson. I am the director of the Communication Design Certificate Program. And I think we've got a good program for you tonight. We've got a bunch of people who are going to hear from, but we'll all keep it pretty short so that you can get a variety of perspectives. Before we start in, I just thought we'd have everyone who's here from the MassArt staff and who's going to speak tonight just introduce themselves and just tell us your relation to the your relationship to the program. So, as I said, I'm Alyssa Aronson. I'm the director of the program. Brenna.
Hi, I'm Brenna Kennedy. I'm the marketing coordinator for continuing ed, and I'll be doing some tech support later on.
Okay, Alicia. Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
I'll unmute you.
I already screwed up. Hi, I'm Alicia.
That's all right.
I'm a graduate from the program from, I guess, 3 years ago.
Okay, Joe.
Hey everybody, Joe Doucette. I'm in charge of admissions for all the certificate programs, including the communications design certificate. So if you have questions about the application process, or anything related to it, I'm the person you're going to want to talk to.
Thank you, Joe. Vicki.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vicki Ajami. I'm the principal at Communication via Design, and I had the pleasure of teaching as an adjunct at this fantastic program pre-pandemic.
Thank you. Pam.
Hi, I'm Pamela. I am a graduate of the program. I think I graduated I graduated with Elisa, so 2 or 3 years ago. Something like that, anyway.
Something like that. Thank you. Alex.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Barbosa. I teach intermediate typography in the program.
Thank you. And Bella.
Hi everyone, I'm Bella. I'm in level 3 of the program.
All right, thank you. I think that's everyone who's going to speak. So the agenda for tonight is for us to use the time until 6:30 to give you various perspectives on the program from different points of view, and then from 6:30 to 7 we'll have Q&A, so you'll have plenty of time to ask questions. My presentation is going to be 5 minutes, and then each of our speakers will have 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes to tell you the story, to tell you their story. And I just want to mention, just to make it more visual, because we're very designy people. While each person's talking, I have a few images that they've sent me. Could be images of their design work. There might be something else in there. So they'll speak, and I'll just run the images through for each person to just give you a little bit of visual flair. All right, so I think I'm ready to start. So I'm going to share my screen. Oops, wait, maybe I should open this first. Hold on. All right. Now I'm going to share. Okay, can everyone see that image? It's got me on the left and a bunch of design stuff on the right.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So since I've asked our alumni, faculty, student, and employer participants here tonight to briefly tell you their stories, I thought I would tell you more about this program in the context of my story, since I myself am a graduate of this program. Like many people who joined the program, the MassArt Communication Design Certificate Program, I found myself sometime after college working in a job I liked, but it didn't really feel like a passion for me. As an English major, I had fallen into marketing, and there were some things I liked about it, but I didn't totally love it. But when the company that I worked for hired a communication designer to rebrand our company, and I saw what she was doing, I thought, I would really love to do that kind of work. So I talked to her and asked her a lot of questions, including like, how do I get started? What should I do if I want to pursue this kind of career? And that was the first time that I heard about the MassArt Communication Design Certificate Program, then called Graphic Design Certificate, which, you know, she mentioned was a really good program. And she also gave me some names of other designers to talk to. And as I talked to other designers and asked them, you know, what's a good program for getting myself, you know, trained to work in this profession, the MassArt Communication Design Certificate was mentioned a few more times. So that was the first thing that really impressed me about the program, was that it was being recommended to me by professional designers. When I started looking into the program, I found several other things I really liked about it. It's a part-time program with classes held evenings, occasionally on weekends, which meant that I didn't have to totally, you know, change my lifestyle. I could keep working at my job. It's affordable because you're only taking 1 or 2 classes at a time, so you pay as you go. And since MassArt is a publicly funded college, it's a lot less expensive than comparable, you know, private educational venues. The program is geared towards working adults, focusing on real-world professional design skills for job and career, but also on creativity and what makes each person's work unique. You can test out the program by taking the first course or 2 courses in the program, and then they can be transferred into the program when you've applied and started the program. And to begin the program, you don't need an extensive background in art or design. You just need some basic observational drawing skills and some skills in a few of the Adobe Creative Suite programs. And another thing I found was that as I talked to more students in the program and alumni of the program, many of them said they actually started doing some kind of job involving design while they were still in the program. So they didn't have to, you know, finish the whole program before they were able to start getting some kind of work in design. So all those things really appealed to me. And so I applied to the program and got started. My experience in program was great. Some of the best aspects were meeting like-minded people, other students with shared interests and goals, a supportive and fun community of students and, you know, designer friends for life. Really great teachers, many of whom are or were professional designers and have connections in the professional design world. In my program courses, I built a portfolio of work that I really loved and that impressed potential employers when I went to interviews, and that enabled me to begin working in the professional design world. Even before I finished the program, I was able to get work. And I found that the program had been great preparation for working in the professional design field, and a great launching pad for jobs and freelance opportunities through networking with students, alumni, and teachers. My experience as a student, so I forgot to mention, after several years working successfully as a designer in different types of employment, I was asked to teach a course in this program, MassArt Communication Design Certificate Program, and eventually became the director of the program. So my experience as a student long ago still informs my approach to running the program, which puts student experience and student outcomes first. Working closely with our staff, our expert faculty, our alumni, and many professional designers who come to our classes and speak to students and sit on our portfolio reviews and give feedback to students. I'm committed to ensuring all the strengths that I found in the program as a student are maintained while we continue to evolve the program to keep up with rapid changes in the design profession and in the technology that affects all of us in our everyday life. Now a fully online program, MassArt Communication Design Certificate Program, we shape our classroom experiences to maintain the strong relationship building and personal interactions between students and faculty that have always been a strength of the program. Students are educated to gain strong skills in both traditional and contemporary, ever-evolving interactive media. Applying to level 1 is really quick and easy, and students have the flexibility to determine what level of certification is right for them. They can either, know that from the start, but you don't have to know it from the start. You can figure it out as you go along. So those are just some aspects of the program I wanted to talk to you about. And now I'd like to introduce Alicia Mason-Guild, who's going to tell you a little bit about herself, and I'm going to share some of her work. So Alicia, go ahead and jump in.
Sure. Hi, guys. I had a very similar path. I was working in the service industry for 15 plus years, and in my early 30s, I hated it, wanted to get out, and I had always kind of had design in my back pocket as a hobby. I had been doing flyers for music events, local stuff, friends skate shops, that kind of stuff, and I never fully thought of it as something I could do full time until I talked to somebody that worked at MassArt at the time. They told me about the program, and for all the reasons that she just said, it sounded right. Being able to work and do it at night, weekends, etc. So it was really great. And you definitely get in what you put out, or get out what you put in. And I worked really hard and I really wanted it, and so I did reach out and I started applying for jobs really early on, and I was lucky. I got into design really quickly. I mean, I look back at the things I was doing back then and it's terrifying. But so anyway, I went through a couple different studios, and now I work for WS Development here in Boston, which is a kind of upscale real estate retail company, which sounds really boring, but it's kind of like working for a bunch of little cities that do all these events. So I do a ton of event artwork, a ton of advertising stuff, billboards, all sorts of illustration projects, all sorts of upscale fashion projects. I run the full gamut of different type of design projects that you can do. So it's really fun, really interesting, get to be creative every single day. And I think working in the program really prepped me for it, because you're going to do so many different type of projects. You're going to learn about branding. You're going to learn about all the different ways and the directions that you can go in with design. And I think it prepped me really well for what I'm doing right now. Was that 2.5 minutes? I
didn't time it exactly, but I'm sure that was fine.
I tried to talk really fast.
Thank you, Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to Alex.
Hey everyone, Alex Barbosa. I teach intermediate typography here in the program. I am a graduate of MassArt from the undergrad in 2012, and I've been working in the design industry ever since. So I got my start working at a design studio called Corn Design, where we worked on a lot of luxury hospitality projects, cut my teeth in the ad agency world and marketing, and then worked at a startup. And today I'm one of the art directors over at Zipcar. So I've been working with, besides teaching and what I've been doing for the past 3 years, I've actually just been really involved in the continuing ed program, being a guest speaker for a lot of the classes, to a guest reviewer. I really love this program, both because I went through the undergrad and understand and kind of really began to appreciate the teachers and their love and attention to design. And I love bringing that into my course, where, we focus on typography, strong concepts, really talking about the why when you're making decisions in your designs. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here today and to continue the relationship with the program.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bella.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bella. I'm in level 3 currently. When I started a few years ago, I was a marketing coordinator at a publishing company, And my favorite part of my job was getting to design marketing materials, but I really had no formal education. So after taking some YouTube classes, Skillshare classes, I decided to like bite the bullet and look at a more formal education. And what I liked about MassArt was that I could take a couple classes and try it out before I decided I wanted to fully commit to the entire program. And that's exactly what I did. I took my first class and I was like, immediately like, this is the right fit for me. Things felt very structured. I felt like I learned a lot in each class, which was wonderful. And I was lucky that I also got design work pretty early in the program. I got my first design job in level 1, and it was kind of like a more, production, technical job, a little bit boring. But in level 2, I got my current job as a marketing design specialist at Harvard, and I love it so much. I really get to touch so many parts of our brand, from social media to print materials, digital materials, and I'm also our in-house videographer and photographer, which has been a fun skill set for me to learn on the job. But it's really kind of the job that I was like crossing my fingers to get when I enrolled in this program. So I know it can be really hard to kind of decide what program to choose if you're serious about design, but I really feel like you're in the right place. I feel like 100% this program was the right fit for me and such a helpful thing for my career. And as I said, I'm still in the program. I'm going to complete level 3 at the end of this year. And I'm still in it because every class I take, I feel like I learn so much more, and I'm a much stronger designer at the end of that class than I was at the beginning of the class. And now I get to take all of those skills and bring it into my 9-to-5, which I feel like is such a rewarding feeling, especially for continuing ed, where, you're sacrificing your evenings and your weekends. You want to feel like it's really paying off in a professional sense, and it definitely does. And you get to work on a lot of really fun projects. Some of these examples on the screen are stuff that I worked on in class, and I had a blast doing it. So if you have any questions about what it's like to be a student, feel free to let me know.
Thank you so much, Bella. All right, Pam.
Hi, I'm Pamela. Like I said before, I graduated, I think 2 years ago in the program, but I did my undergrad at MassArt in illustration, and I got out of, college way back when, and I started working in design because I didn't get any work in illustration, and I was pretty much self-taught. So for many years, I wasn't getting the work that I wanted because I just didn't have the design thinking behind just knowing the program, the Adobe program. So I decided to go back into the program, go back for another degree and really learn, get down those design fundamentals. And this slide here is one of my favorite projects that I did in the program. It's for Lucky's Lounge. It's been there for a long time, that place. And, I just rebranded the whole thing, and it's based on a Prohibition theme, and just had a lot of fun doing this project because branding is one of my passions, and I really got to experience that through the projects that we had. And it's something that I think I want to focus on going forward in my career. I did an internship while I was in the program, and since then I'm still working with that organization as a contractor. Oh, and this slide here, I really wanted to show sketching because when I started the program, I didn't know how much sketching was involved in design. I had no idea. And between layout and getting ideas down and maybe logo design, concepts, this was something that was really drilled into us. So you sketch first before you go to the computer. And these are some of my sketches from the program that I did for different projects. Today, it's still hard for me to not go straight to the computer. I always want to do that first, and I need to be reminded that sketching is so helpful. And then the last slide I wanted to show a project I did after, for a client. It's a nonprofit, Black History in Action, and their mission is to promote historical understanding as well as preserve the legacy of St. Augustine's African Orthodox Church. And that is their hub for their the refuge and healing of the program. So I kind of collaborated with a group of people in the nonprofit to come together and create a color palette branding and logo that really represented them as an organization. So the logo is like 4 uneven shapes, which stands for the rocky past of the people it represents, but also is a coming together through the intersection of the negative space. And what I like best about the logo is the palette was taken from Yuka Holmes. I don't know if you're familiar with her artwork, but she's a Black artist in the area, I think in Dorchester. And she's also featured on the website. So it was a really great experience to work with them. And I'm still like in touch with them today as, you know, like still trying to figure out like where they're at in their process. I think that's all I have for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And last but not least is Vicky.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Great to see you. I am, as I mentioned, the principal and I'm the chief brand strategist at Communication via Design. And my story started, I studied actually at UMass Dartmouth. So another sister university school. After graduation, I moved to Los Angeles, where I knew nobody and really had no exposure to anything other than wanting to try out a new city. And it was a wonderful experience. Coming back to Boston years later, I just took all my combined experience of working with agencies, both big and small, to find that I really enjoyed working with smaller agencies where I could get very hands-on experience and have accessibility and exposure to all aspects of the business. And the business always intrigued me. So in 1993, I opened my company doors in Boston in the Seaport, and we've been there for 30 years since. So we focus primarily on what we say, we put vision into action, and that's through communication strategy, branding, digital, and print work. And our mission is to support organizations that make our city and our world a better place. So that means, you know, working with nonprofits and social enterprise organizations is a real, it's a real thrill for us. So that's our focus. I had the pleasure of being invited by Alyssa to teach in the graphic design program a while back, and typography in particular, which is my favorite of all. Typography is just at the root of everything. So it's so important, and it was evening classes, so it worked well with my work schedule. I found that other students had jobs during the day also, so we were all kind of rolling in at the end of busy days. And although I don't teach now, I did teach at Lesley University also. I do enjoy coming back and participating in design juries, showcases, and providing mentoring. Happy to do that for students. It is all about giving back. What I really enjoyed about the program and what I found extremely unique about continuing ed in particular at MassArt is that the student engagement was excellent. The students I found to be completely dedicated, eager and hardworking. That's something I hadn't seen so much at other universities. So that's a real standout. The teachers, the people that you learn from, are in the trenches, so they have a great deal of knowledge of what's current and what's relevant. And then the connection to these, you know, teachers and professors and the people that you're surrounded with, in addition to the students, are just the people that can be so helpful to your career moving forward. So I can't tell you how valuable that is, having access to all the people that you will. They'll be your mentors, and they'll be with you for a long time after. The MassArt program has a great reputation, and the certificate programs are really well positioned for preparing students for success. And I can actually attest to all this because Pamela, who you just heard from, was an intern of ours during her time at MassArt, and then stayed on. I kept her on after to take on some more of our project work. So she handles, you know, some projects with us, as well as our own social media and some other marketing initiatives. So it's really nice to build relationships like that. And then I think from the work that you've seen, there's probably some things that look familiar to you, including the Longwood components. That's website. We did walking tours, apps, and so forth. That's your whole neighborhood. So the Longwood Collective actually owns, they're stewards of the Longwood area. So this is a site to invite visitors to learn more about the area that you're in, that the school is in. And it's just terrific because it's even for people who've been there or those who are just visiting, get to experience things that they didn't know were happening in the neighborhood. And it appeals to everyone across the board. So, you know, from those in the medical and the academic and research and cultural organizations. So they actually employ 68,000 people within all of those institutions. So that's a little bit about sort of my path and the company, and I welcome your questions after.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Okay, I think everyone's had a chance to speak. Thank you so much, all of you guys. And I think we just want to give Joe a chance to talk a little bit about the applications, which we know that there are always a lot of questions about applications. So, Joe, what do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so the application is online, obviously, because the entire program is online. It is available right now through the MassArt website. I'll link to you where you can find that in the chat, which is right there. So you can apply for level 1, level 2, or level 3. Most people apply for level 1 to start at the beginning. Applying for level 2 implies that you've already had some sort of knowledge of or already work in the field of graphic design. So you're applying as an advanced person. And I don't think we've ever had anyone apply for starting as level 3 just yet. So once again, that falls into line with level 2 applicants who need a fair amount of experience to be accepted into the advanced levels. So that's why most people apply for level 1, because you're starting at the beginning. Then you can progress through all 3 levels if you so choose. When you're applying, if you're applying for level 1, the application is pretty bare bones, so you don't need a lot of stuff to put into the application. No portfolio, or you don't need a resume. We strongly recommend, though, that if you're planning to advance through the program, that when you apply for level 1, to include transcripts if you've got them, because you're going to be asked for them if you plan to go on to level 2 and level 3. So this one little catch, even though they're not required for level 1, if you've got them, it's a good thing to include them in that app when you start your level 1 application. So for level 2, quickly, it's just you'll need a little bit more in terms of the application. So for level 2, you do need to have college transcripts of 60 credits or more, or professional and or life experience. And you can detail that in a 500-word essay or 2 pages, so it doesn't scare people too much. It's just 2 pages about your qualifications and how you fit into the program and what you plan to achieve. So that's the app in a nutshell. And I'll turn it back to Alyssa.
All right, thanks, Joe. Okay, so I think we're ready to start the Q&A. Jackie, you're going to manage this, right? I mean, do you want people to type into chat?
One thing I forgot to add one really important thing. The deadline for the application is November 1st. So it's open right now, but you've got until the 1st to apply and submit your application.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I'll check the chat. You can, if you don't want to talk, we'd love to hear you speak, but if you don't want to do that, that's okay. We just put your questions in the chat and we'll speak them out and someone will answer. So go ahead. I'm sure you're bursting with questions.
And these can be questions for any of us if you want to ask one of the speakers. Bella, she's the current student in the program. Alicia and Pam are both recent grads of the program. Or you have a question for me, or about the program, Joe, about applications, anything at all. This is your time to ask.
Do you have a question, Renee?
I do. Hi. Sorry, I had to step away for a moment, but I do have a question. On one of the slides, about some of the skill sets, the Adobe suites, knowing the Adobe suites, and the drawing, and being, having that observational sketching skill set. Is that a class that's offered as part of the certificate, or is there a class at Mass College of Art for us who can't draw a straight line?
I can answer that if you want.
Well, I can.
Go ahead, sure.
You can build on my answer if there's something I don't
Okay.
mention. So those are skills that are required to begin the program courses. So we don't, within the program courses, we don't teach those skills. But there are courses at MassArt in which you can learn those skills, as well as other avenues for doing it. I'll let Jackie talk a little bit about the courses. I just want to clarify about the skills. So drawing from observation or observational drawing just means drawing, from from something in front of you. It could be just a still life, or it could be a life drawing. But rather than drawing out of your, from your imagination, drawing from observation is just fundamental to talking about and understanding sort of how your mind translates the visual, which you're not really conscious of, but when you start drawing it, you start becoming more conscious of it. So it's less about whether becoming a great drawer. Some people in the program have amazing drawing skills. Some have just taken like one basic course. It's more about just experiencing what it's like to try to translate that three-dimensional reality onto a two-dimensional surface, and some of the vocabulary involved in that and so on. So MassArt has courses for that, but there's also, community education centers or learning online how to do it. The Adobe skills, what we're looking for are, well, I call working knowledge, which, some people, again, have a lot of knowledge. Some people, it's just very basic. They're just getting started with Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, and a little bit of InDesign as well. So you'll be learning the skills as you go along, because there'll always be new things that you need to figure out how to do. You'll be talking to other students. How did you do this? I have some tutorials where I show how to apply the skills in specific projects that we're working on. But you don't want to just be struggling with the basics when you get into a design course. You want to already know how to do the basic things in those programs. We do have a course that's very good. It's called Introduction to Design with Adobe Creative Cloud, taught by Jason Fairchild. It's a very good course. There's also some shorter courses, like supposing you already know Photoshop, but you want to learn some Illustrator. We have some courses for just, specific programs. And again, there's stuff online that you can use also to teach yourself those skills. Jackie, you wanted to add something?
Well, I just wanted to say that we have that Adobe Creative Suite is now a shorter course. So it's we have a 7-week. We have some 7-week classes, so you don't have to spend a whole semester working on it. And I just wanted to also mention that, because Alyssa didn't mention it, that to draw from life means not. I noticed that sometimes people come in with their iPads or something, and their picture on the computer, and they're drawing from that, but that's not what you want to do. You want to have something solid in front of you to look at how that is, not from a photograph or something flat. So there, as Alyssa said, there are tons of classes all over the place, and we offer classes as well. And so we have drawing classes for that from life. We have portrait classes, more other kind of more basic classes as well. The portrait might be a little bit hard because people, you get a bit nervous when you see a person in front of you. But yeah, there's that. And we can just put the link to the classes on there. but don't feel there's no pressure. You know that we're not pushing you to take one of our classes. There are classes all over the place. Find one near to you or convenient, and do it. Just, you know, don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Welcome.
There's a note in the
And
chat.
I'll be sending out the recording of this info session and any active classes that are coming up. I'll make sure to link so you'll receive that.
I know there's a chat. Someone wants to know how you feel about Canva, and Alicia says we hate Canva. Honestly, I've never used it. I mean, if you can do what you need to do in Canva,
It's great for non-designers. All of the field marketers that do all of the social media for the properties at my company all have a Canva account, and it's great for them for making like Instagram posts or whatever. It's really, really helpful for people that are not designers. But if you want to be a designer, don't even think about Canva.
Yeah, the Adobe programs are the industry standard for designers, and can do a lot more than other programs that can be, like as Alicia says, can be very, very useful and cheap or free. If you're a MassArt student, you know, if you're taking even one MassArt course, you can get the access to the Adobe Creative Cloud, the whole suite of all the applications and all the fonts and all the images for free using MassArt's site license. So that's a really nice feature of being a MassArt student, to get free access to the Adobe suite.
And another question, what are the core classes for the comm design certificate?
What are the core classes?
Mm-hmm.
Are you reading that from the chat?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the question's just, what are the core classes?
Okay. What are the core classes? I was just looking to see if the question had more information about what you mean by a core class.
Maybe required classes that you.
All right. We do have a list of required classes. I don't have the link in my head.
I'll put the link in there.
On the website where it lists where the information about the certificate program is a link to, I think it says curriculum, and it gives you a list of the classes. But level 1 has 4 classes. Level 2, I don't want to try to say that, I might mess it up, but the list of classes is on the website. That might just be the easiest thing. If there's something more specific you want to ask, I can answer it. But there's
This question,
12, there's 11 or 12 classes total, like 4 in each level, something like that.
this one might be good for Joe. For the level 1 application, I want to clarify for the statement of purpose, is it 2 paragraphs or 2 pages?
Well, for level 1, it's a little different than level 2. So for level 1, you know, statement of purpose is just tell us why you want to be in the program, what you're going to do with the program. You know,
Paragraph
it doesn't have to be long. So for level 2, it should be a little more detailed because you're trying to give us an idea of, you know, what your life experience is that will help you be accepted into the advanced level. And so, you know, we're not going to count words. We're not going to say, oh, you know, that's 497 words. Can't do it. Sorry. You know, so make it clear and to the point and give us a good idea of who you are and what you want to do in the program. And, you know, if it's level 2, you know, why you belong in level 2.
Right. For level 1, it's not, I'll say honestly, it's not an application essay. You don't have to sweat over it. It's really just for information. You know, what are you interested in? Why you want to do this program? I mean, sometimes I'm reviewing applications and I read that someone says they're interested in animation. That's why they're doing the program. So if nothing else, it helps me to know that maybe you're not applying to the right program. But you can keep it short. As Joe says, if you're applying to start at a higher level, I definitely need to know like your qualifications. And you need to include a portfolio to start at a higher level, like if you want to begin at level 2 or level 3. But for level 1, you do not need to submit a portfolio, and your statement can just be a paragraph or 2. just telling us a little bit about why you want to do the program.
Thanks, Alyssa and Joe. I see there's another question that a lot of people ask, so I'm sure you'll be answering it for many here. What kind of time outside the classroom should we realistically set aside for each of the classes? Are the classes recorded so that they can be referred to again or missed? Are the classes recorded? And how much
Okay.
time outside of class?
All right. So the time outside of class, I mean, you know, I I have these ideas of how much time is appropriate and how much time I think things will take. But you know, I don't know. Probably you guys, Pam, Alicia, and Bella can say better than I can, because you know, some people say, oh my God, I spent so long on that. And then, you know, it's like, well, how long exactly? Oh, well, 6 hours. It's like, well, that's not that long. So what we say in the program is in the classes in level 1, you know, like 10 to 15 hours outside of class per week. Level 2 could be more like 15 to 20. Level 3 could be more like 20 to 25 per course. I mean, that sounds like extraordinary. But it's a very, I can say, it's, you know, it's a very good program, and you'll get a lot out of it. But I think that the alumni and Bella as the current student would address this better. So am I on the right track? Am I overestimating, underestimating? What would you say?
I think it just depends too. You kind of you know, you get further along and you kind of figure out where your strengths and weaknesses are. And then, you know, there were some projects that I spent so much time on, and then there's some projects that I kind of blew through. So, you know, like I said, you do get out what you put in, and like be prepared to definitely spend some time, but it's probably going to be enjoyable time. You know, when I was in level 3 going through final portfolio, I planned and had a wedding, so you can do it.
Pam?
Yeah, I would.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. You want to go first?
Oh, sure. I would say, yeah, for level 1, especially like the first 2 classes, it's really not too bad. It's probably, I would say, 5 or so hours a week. But I would say it definitely amps up a lot in like kind of level 2. I would say like 10 to 15 is like a good range to expect for most weeks in level 2, level 3.
All right. I guess I was overestimating a little bit, but part of it also depends on your software skills. You know, when you first start, especially, there can be a lot of time figuring out like just how to do something, depending on your level of software skill when you start. You know, if you try to do it all in one sitting, it can be less efficient than trying to, you know, do it, you know, spend a little time one night and then come back to it another night. I mean, it's all about your process, as Alicia says. You'll sort of learn as you go along. Kim, anything you want to add?
Yes. I definitely agree with the fact that, you know, the classes that were first, like the earlier classes, took less time. And, you know, up to final portfolio, that was like the most time consuming. And, you know, what I did is like, I started off with just one class, and I saw how that went. And then I took one class like the next semester. And then I think I started ramping up, and I took 2 at a time. And that seemed okay, even though it was more work. It was, you know, it was doable. But I did put a lot of, I sacrificed a lot. Like I would work a lot of nights and weekends, and like, you know, there were times where I didn't go out a lot on the weekends, and my boyfriend had to pay for it, but you know, he was okay with that. But it was worth it to me. So I think I would suggest, if you're worried about like how much you can handle with work and time, take like one class and then see how that goes. And then maybe if you think you're doing okay with one and you want to try 2, then try 2.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a schedule, you know, of how the courses go. Well, if you start in the spring, at least your schedule is a little slower. You can definitely start with 1 at a time. But anyone that wants to, talk more individually about their schedule, if you want to just do one at a time, or you're just not sure, just get in touch with me and I'll go through the ins and outs of it, with you individually, if that's helpful. To help you make a decision about whether to take one or two at the same time. More questions?
Are the classes recorded?
Oh, it's really up to each instructor. We don't, as a rule, record class meetings. But there might be some teachers that do it. So there's like I said, it's not a standard procedure. In my class, well, in all the classes, a lot of what you do in class is interact with other people. You might be, interacting with the instructor on a one-on-one critique, or you might be interacting with other students in a critique, talking back and forth, or you might be doing some kind of an assignment together as a group. There's not a lot of, things like lecturing, presentations. There's some presentations. The presentations, I know for my courses, I pre-record all my presentations. So, if you miss a presentation, you can always watch that. But a lot of what happens, we want to reserve our classroom time for really, talking together. And so that's a lot of what happens during class. Questions? Anything? Anything at all? I
just
could
wanna
talk,
say-
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say one thing, just like to piggyback off what you said. It is so helpful. It is so helpful to be in like a room, a Zoom group, and be able to critique each other. Like that is such an amazing thing that you just can't get if you're watching, just if you're just doing something like online tutorials or whatever. Like it is so wonderful being able to talk to each other, and you kind of learn how to talk design. You learn how other people think, and you can just being able to interact with other people interested in design and seeing how they would do something. And, it's really invaluable.
Right, thank you. And in all our courses, we use breakout rooms so that students can meet in small groups. It's not always like this where you're like saying, what do you think? And nobody says anything. Like you get people into these little groups, the teacher isn't there, and you'll probably have some kind of prompt like what you're supposed to be doing in the group. But you can really talk freely and support each other and, laugh and, really, have an enjoyable time and foster relationships while you're, doing a key aspect of learning about design, which is, critiquing each other's work.
Alex, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Alex, say something.
Oh, well, I
I
saw
would-
you unmuted, so I was like, oh.
It's fine. I was just going to piggyback off of the recording. Typically, especially for my course, if you miss out on a class, I will ask you to send me your progress for the week. I'll either send back an annotated PDF, or I might ask you to jump on a Zoom if you're available, because I'll free up time to give you that one-on-one critique so you don't fall behind. But typically, I don't tend to record my classes, but I will record little demos that I might do in terms of like how to do something in Photoshop or how to execute this for your project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. So one more question came in, and it's about age range. Is there a big age range of students?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we have everyone from students who've just graduated college. I mean, actually, sometimes we have students who are still in college and start the program because, some point at the latter part of their time in college, they realize that they want to do, graphic design or communication design, and their college doesn't have it. So they're going to, they're going to segue into the program and they want to start, with a course or something like that. So we have, a fair number of people that are that are fresh out of college. But then there are also people 30s, 40s, and even, even beyond that, who for whatever reason decide that they want to take some communication design courses. And yeah, it's a great mix of people. You have people from, the outside, you have web, coders and people like that want to learn more design. And then, all kinds of fields, backgrounds that people have had that somehow they've just decided that they want to get into this. So that's one of the great things. It's a fun mix of people.
Any other questions? You can just unmute and start talking if you do have a question. You want to do it that way. Maybe your presentation was still so thorough that there are no questions.
Thorough. Well, I'll just ask. I mean, if questions come in, we'll answer. We only got 7 minutes anyway, but I want to make use of all our 7 minutes. Any of you guys, Alex, Pam, Vicky, Bella, Alicia, any advice you'd give students who are considering this program?
I put it in the chat, but I will say that taking a quick tutorial on, if you're doing something, a 5-minute video can save you 3 hours in Illustrator. So definitely use all the internet has to offer as a tool to keep you going as you go along, so you don't get overwhelmed. But yeah, I think just be prepared just be good with time management.
That's a really good point. Be prepared to work, but the things like this that you'll learn as far as creating efficiencies are things you'll take with you well beyond your studies. So just know that it's not just getting through that it's not just useful getting through the program, but it really comes in handy. And certainly learning time management is probably one of the biggest things I see that students struggle with coming out of school and getting into the real world scenarios. So it's a great place to practice. So all of it is great practice for the real world.
Yeah, and I think we do a great job of setting the foundation within every course that you take, and then each class thereafter kind of builds on it. So by the time you get to my course and I'm asking you questions about why you're choosing this typeface, or like what's your concept, you're really just like needling down, like you will then become prepared to know how to answer those questions, and not just because it's the cool typeface that feels fun. So each course builds upon itself. So then by the time you finish all 3 levels, like you would have learned and built upon all the skills needed to be a successful designer, today.
Yeah, I also just wanted to add, I think I remember when I did this info session many years ago, it feels like, I remember being so scared of making bad work. And I was kind of worried that I would just be like, what if I'm just terrible? I don't have a creative bone in my body, And if that's something that you're worried about as well, I would say try your best to not worry, because ultimately you will create a lot of work that isn't your best work, and that's okay. It's just part of the process. If it was possible to only create good work all the time, I would do my best to do that. But if you're worried about, how much you have to learn, that's exactly why you're here and in school, is to learn and to grow and get better. So don't let that stop you.
Amen.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to say. We have another question here, and it's to those who have gone through the program. Did you feel that it prepared you to work in the design field, or did you feel like there was a lot more to gain, a lot more that you needed to learn? Did you feel overwhelmed, like there was more to learn when you started your job?
I think there's always going to be more to learn. But also, like, I always say this to people that are just starting, like, don't be super intimidated to get into the design field. Like, I have coworkers that are very disorganized and like they just never learn certain things that maybe I learned in the program or vice versa. I think it does prepare you, but I think, also it's smart to kind of keep on top of yourself being organized. I think the time management, like we talked about, is really important in the professional world. And that is definitely something that you will obviously have to master to get through the whole program. So I think it does put you in a good place, personally.
Pam, anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, what I liked about the program is that it gave a pretty broad experience with design, and it gave you a really solid foundation so that you have the skills to get a design position. But there's always so much more to know. Like if you want to focus on user experience, UX design, you obviously need to, there's more skills to be gained in that area. And like branding, you can learn a lot about that on the job. Like I work with people, I have like 3 different jobs, and at one of my jobs, or 2 of my jobs, I'm working with people that don't know enough about typography, and I'm always correcting them with the N dashes and the M dashes, and that drives me nuts, and the hyphens and all that stuff. So I think it sets you up to have a really good. I have a really good portfolio. I love my portfolio that I graduated with. But I think if you find after the program that you really want to like hone in on one aspect of design, then you can do that. But you're not gonna like get that in this program. It's more of a broad overview.
Yeah, I mean, I would say because of the pace of technology, you really don't even know what you're going to need to know, in a few years. There might be something that doesn't even exist yet. So in the communication design profession, you're a lifelong learner, right? It's never like, okay, I know everything, I'm set. But I think most people who are designers have a curiosity about things, and you got to take an interest in whatever the subject matter is of the project, and it could be anything. So our goal is to kind of set you up like with a jumping off place where you could, as Pam was saying, you could go into branding, you could go into UX, you could go into advertising. Once you get into that stream, you'll hone in and more on that specific discipline. Or, you might be in more of a generalist kind of environment where you'll be doing lots of different types of projects. So that's kind of our goal, is to kind of set you up so that you could ultimately go in different directions.
And from my perspective, just to chime in on that, you're not expected to know everything when you come out and you get your first job. So just don't feel that pressure that you have to know everything and you're going to be able to just dive right in. There's always a learning curve with whatever company, studio, whatever you work in. And it's up to them. There's a lot of that ownership is up to them for them to teach you. So learning is something that continues. And even for myself, I mean, you never stop learning. And so that's the beauty of it. You're just always learning. It's a wonderful profession in that regard.
Okay, 7 p.m. So, Jackie, you want to close us out?
Well, thank you everyone for coming, and I hope you got a lot out of it and that you'll contact us if you have questions. Joe put his email in there, and we can just put the CE email as well. And Alyssa will put her email, and so we can put the CE
yes,
email.
feel free to reach out to any of us. I mean, Joe specifically for applications, but if he's the only name you can remember, you can write to him and he'll funnel the message to whoever is supposed to get it. Or you can write to me about anything also, or Jackie.
Or if you just write if you forget everybody's name, just write to the C email box and we'll send it out. So we're happy you came. Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you again.
Yeah. One more thing, the application deadline for to start in the spring is November 1st. You don't have to wait until November 1st. We review applications on an ongoing basis. But yeah, that's all I want to say. So thanks so much for coming and hope to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Hi.